I refuse to condemn your generation and future generations to a planet that's beyond fixing.
The loss of sea ice due to climate change is causing polar bears to have to swim longer distances to find food and habitat, resulting in greater risk to their cubs, who are not prepared for such a journey. This research is the first analysis to identify a significant multi-year trend of increased long-distance swimming, and shows the potential deadly effects of climate change on polar bears, who are literally having the ice pulled out from under their feet. Sea ice is now 47% lower than it was just over 30 years ago, and long-distance swimming puts polar bears at risk of drowning due to fatigue or rough seas. The recently completed study identified a 45% mortality rate among cubs forced to swim long distances.
But here's the thing, right now there are no federal limits to the amount of carbon pollution that those plants can pump into our air.
I'm Shelley Zhang. Now, pollution in China has become such a big issue that even Captain Planet himself might have a hard time solving it. Over the weekend in Beijing, air pollution was literally off the charts. So bad, it was beyond the scale used to measure it. It reached what the U.S. Embassy, which measures air pollution in Beijing, used to call crazy bad levels, 12 times higher than the acceptable standard even in China. That led to a predictable public outcry, but even state-run media has been reporting aggressively on the pollution issue. Now, is this a sign that the leadership will actually take a meaningful stance against pollution?
The pollution is really bad, but it's not just in Beijing, it's also all across China. In fact, in Zhejiang province, which is near Shanghai, the pollution was so bad that over the weekend, a factory caught fire. It was on fire for 3 hours before anyone even noticed because the smog was so thick.
How harmful is this for people to be breathing every day?
The biggest impact is on children, the elderly, and especially people with lung problems or heart problems. And a study published by Greenpeace in December 2012 basically estimated that in 4 Chinese cities, the number of deaths just from pollution in 1 year would be about 8,500. That's 8,500 additional people dying just because China's pollution is so bad.
Climate change is a fact. And when our children's children look us in the eye and ask if we did all we could to leave them a safer, more stable world with new sources of energy, I want us to be able to say, yes, we did.
Now, the American Gulf Coast a year later. When the Deepwater Horizon oil rig exploded, the blast killed 11 workers, and after the rig sank, tens of thousands of barrels of oil spilled into the Gulf. That region is still trying to recover from the damage done to the environment.
This is dying. This is a disease. This is, whether, you know, they're worried a flesh-eating virus or something. That's what's happening here.
When did you start seeing what was going on? A good little ways away. I say about 25 nautical miles. You could literally see. It appeared as if the sun was coming over the horizon.
Because a changing climate is already harming Western communities struggling with drought and coastal cities dealing with floods.
Scientists are just now starting to make these connections between what's happening in the climate system and how it's affecting our weather patterns.
The EF5 tornado ended the lives of 23 people, injured almost 400, and destroyed over 12,000 homes as it ripped a mile-wide path through Moore, Oklahoma.
I think we can all agree that Mother Nature in the last several years has dished up an incredible smorgasbord of extreme weather.
No one would have imagined that this day would see a tornado more than twice that size.
The evidence is really starting to pile up.